As you all know, the 8.7 update is bringing the new Russian light tanks, but little did you know that it also brought some several nerfs and buffs to the game, and today we start off with the tortoise that received a buff. But what kind of buff? You will see above my head that based on the new statistics, this tank received a gun buff and nerf at the same time, because Wargaming decided to increase the DPM while at the same time decreasing a little bit the accuracy. It's a good trade in my opinion, even if I don't see how the tortoise is going to be better just because of its DPM getting increased a little bit. What Wargaming did to the armor could have been interesting, but in my opinion they totally failed. Let me explain. Here is the regular tortoise, the one we have in the 8.7 update. As you can see, it has 225mm of armor on this plate here and 230 on this one. Original idea: as you have a wide range with the tank, you are supposed to angle at maximum this part in order to make your enemies bounce here. Okay, it increases just a little bit to 254mm your armor, which is enough to bounce most tier 8. But what about tier 9 and tier 10? It's not enough. So the second thing you can do is trying to use all your 10 degrees of gun depression plus the maximum range in order for you to climb up to more than 300mm. And here, yes, it becomes finally interesting to have this armor on the tortoise. But once again, if you don't have the possibility of hiding that spot, you will get penetrated easily. And if you can hide that spot, people can still shoot at your cupola, which is the weak spot. In my opinion, what Wargaming should have done is either remove that huge cupola or really make a huge difference on the armor profile, because here it's not enough and you will still get penetrated. On top of that, finding positions from which you can hide that part while angling to the maximum this tank, while at the first time using your 10 degrees of gun depression. It's gonna happen one time out of maybe 25-30 games, so it's just exceptional. So the only thing you can really count on when using the tortoise is obviously its impressive DPM that goes nearly to 4k. If you use consumables, it climbs up to 4.3k or something like that, even more. And well, this is what you want to insist on while playing that tank. Maybe if you want to make it a little bit more useful in terms of armor, you can try to use the enhanced armor equipment. But to be honest, as you have a huge weak spot and that Wargaming did not touch the armor of that weak spot at all, I don't see why you should try it. Just go for the hit points. If I had to summarize the tortoise in the current meta, I would tell you it's a big, slow box that has just the craziest gun ever. 400 alpha damage per shot for 6.2 seconds of reload. You literally have the same rate of fire that the Russian mediums at tier 10 have, but you feature more alpha damage and you are one tier below, which means that with this tank, when you're playing against tier 10, it's going to be problematic because you will still have to camp a little bit. You can't allow yourself to brawl frontally based on your armor profile, but at least there is one great thing, which is that when you're falling against tier 8s, you are completely gonna annihilate them. So in my opinion, it's now a two-sided sword, a double-sided sword. It's either you play at tier 10 and you have to camp and it becomes kind of boring, or you play against tier 8 and here you are gonna destroy the shit out of everyone. But here, unfortunately for us, we are not top tier. So how do we need to play? You're gonna see that, luckily for me, as I talked about exceptional place from which you can angle your tank perfectly, we are in this scenario. Just take a look at how I'm angling my tank. I'm using my wide range as much as I can while trying to use my 10 degrees of gun depression. As I told you, by doing so, if my enemies can only see this part, they will struggle to penetrate, except if they shoot at the cupola that is right there and got already penetrated. Wargaming kind of failed this buff. Like, we all know the main problem is the cupola. The cupola on the tortoise completely destroys the purpose of having a big, slow and armored tank. It's like, it would be like putting on a mouse a huge cupola. It doesn't make any sense. And it also inflicts a lot of damage to the playstyle of that tank, because when you take a look at the Tortoise, it could be one of the greatest brawling tanks, not necessarily against tier 10, but at least against tier 8 if they remove the cupola. But by deciding not to do this, they're just making us struggle with it. And on top of that, just take a look at this. I am getting destroyed. Why? Because if people know they can't penetrate with regular shells, they will not bother. They will just switch to gold shell. And what the hell am I supposed to do against a Foch 155 shots in gold shells? Nothing. Not even a T95 could bounce shots from the Foch. And here I'm trying as much as I can to angle my tank, and I'm keep getting penetrated in my weak spot. 1 shot, 2 shot, 3 shots. There is nothing that can save me from the day of reconning. So, well, all I have to do is praying for my teammates to come by and help, which they are doing right now. But is it going to be enough? I don't think so. I do not think that it will be enough in most of your games. Here, I got lucky that my teammates decided to really help me, but most of the time, what is gonna happen is you're gonna stay in the back and pray for your opponents not to push you, while at the same time being around you so you can have your shots. And finally, just take a look at this mobility, 20 kilometers per hour, trying to reach the FV, which seems to be something impossible, and the guy dies in the process. So, well, not the most interesting tank to play with. But the Tortoise becomes so much more interesting when you are playing against tier 8 and tier 10, when you're top tier in general. Because here, even if your armor is not the best, first, it's already better because of the gun penetration of the tanks around you, but most importantly, your DPM is just out of this world for those tanks. It's the same as the AT-15 when it's encountering any tier 7. You have a DPM that is no match for every single other tanks beside maybe a Tortoise in the opponent's team. So what we're gonna do right now, as I have a poor mobility and I know that I have a crazy DPM, is rushing through the middle. I'm not gonna try to circle all the way around from the right side of the map, from the medium point, because it would take too long and the game would be over and I wouldn't already be on the battlefield. So, well, there we go. We're waiting for the stand B. I'm trying to get an HE done, and unfortunately I kind of failed this one. Once again, I'm trying to angle my tank, but you see the standard B, the mighty one that is just trying to get my cupola. Not a problem. You're gonna see how amazing my DPM is right now if I have the luck of not getting bored anymore about that poor guy. We use our adrenaline right now and we have 5.2 seconds of reload. Just take a look at how quickly we are getting that Somua SM getting killed. It's just easy as hell. On top of that, our accuracy allowing us to do the job. We destroy the boy. There is the stand B and the RHN that we have to deal with, and we are not gonna bother. We are gonna we're gonna get them straight. Well, can we maybe get the standard B right now? Hopefully, yes. And yeah, the wide range of the gun allowing you to do whatever you want. And now we enter in the very interesting part of the replay. You see that I'm kind of lonely for the moment and I need to hold my ground against 4 tanks: the Lover, the Yak Tiger, the Object 84, and the RHM that was previously spotted right before the Yak Tiger. So let's see how it goes. First, I sneak 2 shells on the Lover, which allowed me to release some stress on both of those guys. Trying to get the Object 84 killed, but unfortunately I did a low roll, not a problem. Now I have to deal with a Yak Tiger and an RHM. Luckily for me, I managed to track the Yak Tiger, which is something you want to do all the time. My amazing DPM allowing me to kill the RHM, and you see that I kind of sustain against all of them without necessarily struggling. This is the true power of the Tortoise, but unfortunately I don't feel like it's really the spirit of this tank. It should have more armor, but at the same time, if Wargaming did, it would make it broken. So I kind of understand Wargaming's point of view on making this tank a crazy one against tier 8 and tier 9, and not necessarily the most relevant against tier 10. This is Wargaming's choice, and of course we can't do anything but accept it. So hopefully you enjoyed. Tell me your opinion on the Tortoise in the comments. Are you inclined to play it more now that it's being buffed, or is it still gonna take some dust in your garage? Hopefully you enjoyed. If that's the case, feel free to tell me in the comments. Subscribe, like, and share, and personally I'm gonna see you soon for a new video. Bye.